history. It's what they ain't telling you. See these high cheekbones? Cheekbones way up here. Cheekbones way up here, my cheekbones up here. But anyway, though, um, why they don't want you to know this? Well, I'm about to show you. I made a video earlier. I was mistaken. I apologize about that. What I'll show you is they know this. They've been knowing this from the start. Did you wonder why they're trying to erase history? Even black people like BLL trying to erase history. Why are they trying to erase history so bad? But anyway, I'm gonna share this video with you. Oh yeah, before I share this picture with you, let me show you a picture of my grandma. Let me pause this for a minute. May she rest in peace. Let's get started. Pause this again. I apologize. Let me show you another picture of her. Now let's get started.
In a formal gathering somewhere off the grid at a discreet location, just after his return from crossing the waters, Malcolm X revealed some very vital, unconventional details on what Negroes, or rather African Americans, were truly considered to be as a nationality of race prior to being called or labeled a Negro.
Aborigine, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Malcolm X stated that the rock landed on us after he returned across the waters because he learned new things. He learned that the rock had truly landed on us and that we were from these lands. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also stated in his I Have a Dream speech that we are held in exile in our own homeland.
The Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land.
Now we have a lot of scholars out there, and individuals are missing the point. How can you be held in exile in your own homeland without it being your own homeland? The tens of millions of black Americans, or rather Indians, who disappeared in 1492 did not all die in the Holocaust inflicted within America. Hundreds of thousands were shipped to Europe and Africa as Indian slaves. The whole slave trade story was given to all of us in reverse. A mass colony of Africans were not shipped from Africa to America. The truth is that black Indians were shipped from America to Europe. They were then shipped from Spain to Africa as commodity for African resources. These black Indians, now mistaken as African Americans, were shipped back to America and classified as African slaves. This part of our history is what the school systems failed to mention in history programs. The American Society was an organization formed in 1816 with the purpose of transporting free African Americans, or rather Indian slaves, classified as Negroes back then, from the United States to settle on the west coast of Africa. During the decades, the society operated and transported more than 12,000 people to Africa, and the African nation of Liberia was founded. The term African American to refer to all black people was endorsed only since 1988 but was against the desires of the majority of black people. In fact, the term was endorsed by only 5 people, including Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin, leading the charge as a result of a gathering called the African American Summit, without the input of the majority of black people. Author Avis J. Smith went to the district court in Washington, D.C. to stand against this term, as well as against the notion that a small group of powerful individuals should be able to compel the masses into adopting it. The systematic destruction of the Native Americans, or rather Native Indigenous Aborigine people, and their way of life was not only one of recorded history's greatest tragedies, but as with the slave trade, deeply spiritually wounding to all involved. The utter decimation of their culture is one of the most shameful aspects of history, the extent of the damage still being downplayed and denied entry into textbooks and history lessons to this day. I'm just here to make you think. Throughout today's society of America, people would say that history was written by the victors, but I would have to disagree with them, merely because only a loser would have the audacity to write a story to make it seem as if they won, when they didn't. When they didn't. When they didn't.
I mean, it's really important for us to remember our history. You know, unless you're one of the first Americans, you came from someplace else. Somebody brought you.
Because, however much America strays away from the ideals of justice, the goal of America is freedom. Abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up in the destiny of America. Before the Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth, we were here. Before Jefferson etched across the pages of history the majestic words of the Declaration of Independence, we were here. Before the beautiful words of the Star-Spangled Banner were written, we were here. White man has done this trick everywhere, here in America, to the Indians. He sent one priest to the Indians in New York and another priest to the Indians in Pennsylvania. And he just both of them would tell lies to both Indians. And the Indians who had never been at war with each other would start beating the tom-tom, the war drum. And then as they got ready to come together and fight, the priest would run in and say, let me be the mediator. The New York Indians, you would move out to Minnesota. And the Pennsylvania Indians, you move out to Oklahoma. That would leave the whole state of New York and Pennsylvania for the white man. You see how he does it? You see how he does it? You see how he does it? See how he does it?
Are you interested in the specific gun laws for your state? If not, no worries, simply skip.
Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with the original Black American Indians. Black Lives Matter is a propaganda to keep blacks thinking that they're African Americans that came on slave ships. We already know we are waking our people up to let them know that we are the American Indigenous Indians. Black Lives Matter do not represent our people. We do. Jesse Jackson do not represent our people. Barack Obama do not represent our people. We're not African Americans. We're indigenous. Our African American is Obama. Why? Because his mother's European and his father's Kenyan. That's an African American. A real Indian, American Indian is me. Both of my parents are American Indians, not from Africa.
Niggas know black people don't crack. Like, black don't crack.
Yeah, black don't crack. That was...
It rhymes.
Yeah, what's it inconsistent?
Well, indigenous don't crack. The natives don't crack.
The natives don't
You can
crack.
say a native and he could be 90 years old and still look like 50. I'm talking for the natives.
Yeah.
I like when
When it comes to talking about African Americans, I have no education with that. Period. I don't. I'm not even connecting to that no more. Because that's a system. That's like connecting. Say, hey, he's a bad guy. You don't hang with him. Oh, hey, I'm gonna find out for myself. I'm not African American at all. My folks is not from Africa, and a lot of people in this room, folks ain't from Africa. Might be a couple, but people just don't understand. I asked my grandma, like, yo, grandma, what's your background? She like, Redfoot and Blacktail Indian. What? Yeah, my mother and my father did. We 100% Indians. Ask my other grandma, we got Cherokee in us, and European and Italian, a little Dominican. It's crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? That's why I'm African. Y'all look at me funny, like, nigga, I'm African. Like, you're not though. Like, you're not. 80% of slaves was already here. It was natives. It's crazy.
80, where you get that number from?
Shit, I just checked the books.
Which book?
Yeah.
I got a whole laptop full of this shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, just for me reading. It's not a solid book like, hey, there's only 1,000 slaves came here. And nah, nigga, you gotta read. You have to literally read. Like, I'm so deep into it, I don't think about a slave ship. I think about, what was a slave ship called? Jesus. What the fuck was a slave ship called that Christopher Columbus was on? Who funded that slave ship? Who paid for that boat? Like, what was these folks' race? Like, what was their background?
People don't understand. Black people did not just come from Africa. Black people were already in the States. And people got to do their history to understand black people were already in the States. People don't know that, though. They don't get that part. You know, they don't know that Nat Turner was really an Aborigine. That ain't Africa. You can look at Nat Turner and the depictions of him and know he was an Aborigine. He had a different vibe about him. So, people don't, like, really know that not all black people did not come from freaking Africa. Because it's going to be very, very difficult for you to make it in that goddamn ship at the bottom of that goddamn ship for 3 months. When the food get low. Do the math. For real. Do the motherfucking math. Seriously, and just ushering everybody in on boats the long goddamn way. They not stopping. Ain't no bathrooms on that motherfucker. Come on now. Do the math. That's all you gotta do is do the motherfucking math. For real. The human body won't last that long. You on a boat for 30 days, you ain't eating nothing but fucking slop. And feces and shit of the motherfucker that's sitting next to you. You gonna die of disease, man. It's gonna be like 3 black people left whose bodies are physically fit enough to be able to withstand all that pressure under the goddamn ship. Come on. Keep that shit.
Can I just end with this one thing? These 4 brothers sitting here, we didn't all come from Africa. And there was a country before 1492, and our history goes way beyond 1492. So you can't start us at 1492. We were always here.
It's time for us to stop trying to fit in with these niggas, man. One thing we gotta realize, eagles don't fly with doves. They don't fly with doves, baby. I'm grateful, bro.
When I was a kid and I was watching everything Cash Money did, and all of them had each other's names tattooed on them. And this was when I was younger. I didn't understand it, but then when I started going to New Orleans, like, you know, on tour and shit.
We tried.
The way they are with each other, they love each other a different way than everybody else.
It's Indian. It's Indian territory. It's tribes. Like, people be thinking Indians with the Pocahontas honest looking, that ain't how Indians look. They look like them people in New Orleans. Louisiana, all over Louisiana. Them Indians, tribes.
Indigenous.
And when you take people that, you can say that, but when you take people in, man, we family. Family.
If you want to talk about indigenous people in America or Native Americans, they always dealt with extraterrestrials. They called them the star people. And yes, they were black. This is where the word Indian comes from the Latin word indigo, okay, which means blue-black, and it's a skin color, okay? And so the Indians that you see today are what you call $5 Indians, okay, which are Caucasians, actually white people, okay? And go look up the Dow's Commission, go read the Dow's rolls. Back in the day, white people was allowing other white people to sign the Dow's rolls, saying that they was Native Americans in exchange for benefits and assistance from the government. So all these Indians that own these casinos and own the land, and they got straight hair and they look like goddamn Mexicans and Chinese people and white people, those are what you call $5 Indians. Those are descendants of the people who actually took the land and then acted like they was the people who the land got took from. Black people are the original Indians.
Black people are Native Americans. You know, we've had, you know, a lot of proof that, you know, some of us started here in this land. Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa. So
To a caricature artist, everyone is.
we have to, like you say, unpack all of that and try to, you know, find the true lineage of people in this country, because some, you know, I used to tease family members who would say, you know, I got a little engine in me. I would think they didn't want to be all the way black. But when I really do the research, a lot of them did have a little engine in them. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, we want to be counted on all levels, not just, you know, through slave ships. Like I said, you know, we were here before Columbus. So a lot of us, and so we want to make sure that's included and not excluded.
I'm glad that I came back to connect with my brothers and sisters here in America that was here long before Chris and the boys got here, long before America Vespucci, long before all of them people got here. We were already here. I had tribal pride. My father's Blackfoot Native American.
Godfrey, real quick. You know, as a full Nigerian, have you ever heard any like ethnic stories, like Nigerian stories, about people getting robbed by white people? Like I mean, stolen and brought across to another land. Have you ever heard an oral tradition like, don't go out into the fucking by the river at night because you can get jumped by the white man and he'll bring you on a boat across the water?
I never heard any of that. All I heard, like my father would tell me stories, just Nigerian proverbs and stuff that relate to just Africa.
Right, but then so there was never any proverbs or anything that related to, because it's like if there were millions, right?
Right.
Millions of black people that were so-called taken away from their people, right? Now, as wise as we are with proverbs, right? Like, we tell proverbs to teach lessons and shit, right? So wouldn't you want to teach a lesson so that your people would not be stolen and shit like that? You see what I'm saying? Some sort of African proverb that dealt with not getting kidnapped by the white man,
right?
Because he'll take you over there on a boat or some shit like that.
Or like this, what story are you familiar with that you were told? And I don't even like to consider you guys Africans because that's a misnomer. You know what I mean? You guys will call yourselves by your native tribe, and there's no problem with that. Actually, that's even better. You don't go to Africa and say, hey, I'm African. Straight up.
No.
That don't happen. But hold on, let me go back to what I was saying. Have you heard of a story? Pick one, any story of a war that took place where some of your kinfolk was captured and brought over to another landmass?
So who are the blacks in America? Who are the black people in America? The blacks in America been living here ever since. They are aboriginals. The blacks in America been living here ever since. They are aboriginals. They are aboriginals. They are aboriginals.
I apologize about the shaking. In some of the video, my hand was wrist was inching, but they don't teach us in the history class. They don't teach us in school, so we was here first. Period. So I apologize about the Shaka Zulu stuff. We still warriors though, Indian. So they ain't that way from us though. But Africa, nah. We was here. But still warrior. Got that Indian warrior blood. Original Indians. That's crazy though. Hope you enjoy it. Check it out. And start giving them thumbs up on the other videos. Appreciate it.